to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any comments on your roll call?
Mr. Gilmore? Here. Mrs. Gingrich?
Here.
Mr. Huber?
Here.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Here.
Mr. Sell?
Here.
All right, do we have a motion to set the agenda?
Sorry.
Is that Mr. Gilmore?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mr. Sell?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mrs. Gingrich?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Yes. All right, now reception of the public. We have present the CEA mini grant to Sheila Balzel. Come on up.
Okay, all right. Back in November, we celebrated American Education Week, and the Salina Education Association has been past practice for a couple of years, well, probably for quite a few years, a long time. We've been giving out a mini grant per building, and teachers just have to apply for the mini grant and state what their project is, and then we go through and we decide who's going to get them. And so we have a little bit of a surprise after we give out these mini grants checks. But the winners for the CEA are, and if you guys want to come on up here, Steve's going to pass out the checks, and then we're going to take a quick picture. The first one is from Salina Primary School, and it's Ashley Smith. And she's getting $100 to do the project Rec and Recs. They are color-coded hands-on math tools that are easy to use. They build number sense and model addition and subtraction strategies. And these math tools help with subitizing, composing numbers, and decomposing numbers. The second check here is for the Salina Elementary School building, and it was a team. Brittany Gear and Shirley Kittle. If you would come on up, please. It's Yoga Your Way to Success. Using yoga mats and balls, students will learn yoga, mind, and body exercise to help them calm and relax for school activities. Using yoga 5 to 10 minutes a day will help identify students who struggle with sitting still and having racing minds to calm, relax, and prepare for each new activity. At the intermediate school, Betsy Kreitz, Robin Weiner, Kathy Brotherton, and Angie Fisher won money for a Tinker Cart for special needs students. The supplies will be purchased with consumables, including various tapes, paper rolls, bottle caps, glue, cups, foil, etc., and supplied on a movable cart. The object is to allow cognitive disabled students to complete STEM challenges by inventing, solving problems, and creating something from their own imagination rather than doing someone else's idea. At the middle school, the winner was Kelsey Johns, and she is having funded a CMS coffee shop. She's with Resource Math and Language Arts. So her students in this class will learn how to supply a coffee shop operation, make coffee, serve, and sell it, learning these skills, following directions, counting and making change, and communication skills. And the one at the high school is called the Paper Roller Coasters, and that was won by the team of Andrea Grace and Allie Buckland. And they're going to use this in senior math concepts at the 12th grade level. Using purchased cardstock, materials, and templates, students will build paper roller coasters. This is a group activity with math problems included. A STEAM, S-T-A-E-A-M project. Students will develop math skills, interpersonal skills, time management, fine and large motor skills, communication, imagination, direction following, and problem-solving skills. And the acronym for STEAM is Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. So congratulations to these winners.
That's better. Yeah, get in there, Steve. Oh, you got it. Good. Smile like you mean it. Thank you.
Okay, and so now for the surprise. At the November meeting, when I was telling about the American Education Week, Ashley Smith was actually here with her children who won a mini grant. They won a mini grant last year, and they were called Code and Go Mice. And the kids were real cute. They did a little video, did a little project, and afterwards, Mr. Huber came up to me and he said, "How many people don't get mini grants?" And I said, "Well, you know, it kind of depends from year to year, but we only give one out per building." And he said, "Well, let me know what you've got left over and I'll see if I can find some funds." And he did. So thank you, Mr. Huber, and also thank you, Mr. Dan Lenartz. Is he here tonight?
I don't think he made
He
it tonight.
didn't make it, okay. The two of them funded $700 worth of other projects that otherwise wouldn't have, you know, that would have just been tabled. So anyway, I need these people to come forward. At the high school, it's Tanya Temple, and she's receiving $100 towards her project of rocks self-defense. And it's getting some different materials and equipment to teach the girls at the high school level how to do some self-defense. And then also at the high school level is Tess Watson, and she wants to do some flexible seating in her social studies classes. And I'm guessing we're probably talking about some ball chairs and mats and I don't know what all, but some things to get them a little more relaxed. Okay. All right. The next one is Kelly Newcomb at Salina Middle School. And hers was for a little free library. And she wants to put up a box outside her classroom and put in free books where kids can just come and pull a book out and put books that they're done with in there. Nobody's keeping track of anything. They can keep the books if they want to, or they can return them. And so she's going to spend $100 towards that. Okay. The next one is from Salina Middle School, and this was a team. This is Tammy Cisco, Jackie Muritz, Laura Darris, Kelly Mosser, and Kelly Newcomb. And they're the Salina Middle School mini relay team ladies. And they were looking for some money to help get a breakfast started for their mini relay survivors. And so although they need more money than $100, this is going to help, help with funding some of it. So, and they'll look for some other sources then. So, are you picking that one up? Okay, all right. The next one is Cheryl Pease at Salina Intermediate School. And she needed $100 for a Lego STEM idea that she had for her classroom. And it has to do with mathematics. And so she's going to, is it 5th or 6th grade, Cheryl? 6th graders, okay. And what 6th grader doesn't love Legos? So anyway, she's going to put that towards her project there. The next person is Jackie Spencer from Salina Elementary School.
Jackie.
And although, let's see, hers was needing a set of books called I Survived the American Revolution from 1776. And those of us that are librarians, we know about the I Survived series, and the kids are very happy with I Survived, and I even have them at the high school level. They love them. And she wants to use that with her lesson plans on the American Revolution, so they're going to have a novel to go with it, and that will be a class set. And then Pam Silliman is our final one, and she's at Salina Primary School. And hers is also for a set of books, but it's going to be some various titles. It is for discussion and interactive read aloud no novels, right? It's going to be all nonfiction. So that's a good project too. So anyway, all right, so there we go. So thank you very much, Mr. Huber.
Yeah, get a picture. You guys know me doing that. That's all. Going back in the corner.
All right. Smile. No, really, smile. Okay, there you go.
Okay, now on to the presentation with Jason Lutke.
Good evening. Good to see everybody tonight. So tonight, I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce to everybody somebody that we're very happy to have on staff and proud to introduce. This is Shula David. And so for those of you that don't know, Shula was hired back in November as our English learners family liaison. Proud to say that she is the first Marshallese staff member that we have. And she's posted at the high school for right now, but is working throughout the district, so some of you have probably seen her out and about. She does a lot of work with families and a lot of work with kids. So we've got several goals and things that we're asking her to work on. I'm going to give her a chance to talk about those in a second. But basically, you know, the primary goal is to help bridge the communication gap between the school and the Marshallese community and the families. To help bring an awareness of the Marshallese culture into the school, to help improve attendance, and I think we're getting there already, and also, of course, the students and their academic achievement. So, without further ado, I'm going to let Shula, I think she has a few things that she wants to talk about. Yeah?
Hi everyone. I'm so nervous. I didn't know you guys were all going to be here. Okay, thanks. I said turn around if I started speaking, so. But anyway, I want to thank all of you, for being here. Since I've started the job, I've accomplished a few things, but there was, a few things that I thought, well, could I do it? Is it possible? But there's just many students that we've had, and then I just moved back to the community from Sydney, so I know the families, but a few of them I really didn't know, and I wasn't sure if I was equipped for the job. But anyway, as I got to working more with the kids and more of the families, I got more comfortable. Jason has given me, some great advice. I've worked with the teachers to see where I could find that barrier, or where that barriers, or bridge that gap with the kids and with the teachers and and just the school, and their, like Jason talked about, I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous, I've never had to talk in front of anybody. So I'm like stuttering up here. But I promise you, I really could. So I think I've bridged the gap somewhat with the kids and with the school. I hope I did. I hope I have. I hope I have met some of your guys' standards as far as reaching out to the kids' families. The home visits that I have done, some of them, it's not that the family, they don't care, it's that they don't understand, or they're not, the message is not getting across to them. And you'd be amazed with how many families I've sat down with and I've communicated, this is what the teachers or the school wants you to do. And they're like, I didn't know that. Or they did know, but they didn't know how to get the message across to you. And I really want you guys to understand that. And if anything, if you guys have any questions as far as the kids and, family home or the culture in general, please come to me. Let's have that open communication with the families, because this is something different. This is something new. They're not used to the American culture, and it's going to take time. I've been here for almost 15 years, and still I struggle, with the culture. But these are people coming straight from the islands and submerging themselves into a culture they've never been in. And so be patient with them and be patient with me. I'm only one person. I know I've come around to every building, and my number one goal is to go to every building and ask you guys, what's the issue? Let's get to the bottom of it. I may not get back with you as soon as I can, but I promise I will. I promise. But another thing I kind of wanted to talk about was maybe attendance. Excuse me. I have 6 children at home. Attendance. I think we've kind of been better with attendance now. The kids, the communication with the parents too. I think it's gotten better. And then we wanted to talk about the Islanders Club. So I've been in an Islanders Club before. What it is a group of Micronesian kids coming together. And this is, to me, it was a safe haven for me when I first came to the United States, because there's other people like me, or people from my island, whether it was Trukis or any other island. We're all meeting together at least once a week, and we can talk about, how our day went, or the school day, how everything went. I don't know if it's going to start up this year. I'm so busy with everything else going on. It might lead up into next year, but we've been jotting down different ideas on how to start it. But I've talked with even Arkansas and Oregon, where they have this Islanders Club with these kids. And some of the things we've done when I was at the Islanders Club was, we visited Oregon. I had went to school in Oregon, but we visited the University of Oregon. We've done what they call Racket Club over there. It was, it's YMCA here. We take the kids there. They have like a fun day. Or the kids perform things from their culture, island dances or whatever. So it's a way for the kids to express themselves. It's their, like I call it, safe haven for them. And I think it'd be great. I don't know if it's going to happen now because we've been so busy. It might lead up until next year, but we're definitely getting some ideas, throwing out ideas here and there. So, anything else?
No, I was just going to say, I think, when we started this position back in November, we were kind of thinking, well, we know there's a lot of things to do, but we didn't know for sure how much of the liaison work was going to take up. So Shula works a lot with students during the day at the high school. But we made the mistake of the first day she was on the job. I took her around to every building, introduced every secretary, gave them all her cell phone number. And I think the next day all she did was respond to texts and phone calls. But we're figuring that out. And, some of the things that she's been able to do for us, I think, are really amazing. Making connections with some of the families and getting families in and making contact with families that we've really struggled with before. So we're really happy to have her.
Do you have any idea, Shula, how many parents that you met with, percentage-wise, of Marshallese students? Have you met with them, have you met with 25% of them, or more, or do you know?
like I said, I just moved back to the community. I'm getting involved in they have a community meeting, and I went there and I've talked about, things that, some of you have shared with me. I brought it up to the meeting and say, hey, here's what's going on. What can we do to help your child? Or what can we do so that you can keep that line of communication with their teachers and you and myself? And so I think probably 50% or more have responded back, or have, come to the school and said, hey, let's get together, I'm not sure what to do, but let's work on it, let's work on this, let's work on that,
So if you had a meeting at the school or any Marshallese parent, they're all invited collectively?
It's at their church.
Oh, it's at their church?
Yeah.
We haven't done that yet.
Oh, you have not done that? Okay, I was just curious what percentage showed interest in it.
About 50% of them, yes. But there's a total, I think there's about 1,500 Marshallese people here in this community, and probably Mercer County in general. So, but more and more are moving in. So, I mean, I don't know everybody, so I'm trying to reach out. Every time I go to Walmart, I'm like, hey, my name is Shula. I've never met you before. Let's meet, let's talk, let's go have coffee. Your child is school? Great, what's school? So, I mean, like I said, I've been trying to reach out, and I've, done a little bit of projects here and there with some of you where, I'm getting involved with registration or, kindergarten registration and screening, so then I get to meet more families. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Steve and Eric, CEA co-presidents. Do you have anything for us?
All right, thank you. Eric and I are here tonight to represent our CEA. We have some questions that we would like to figure out what is going on. That's all we know. Everybody's more worried about some of these reductions that are being talked about. On January 25th of this year, the Daily Standard published an article that brought to light the board's wish to save money through several different cost-cutting measures. In that article, it was stated that as of 2021, Salina City Schools would have a balance of negative $491,231. So, as a group, at CEA, we came up with a list of 5 areas or 5 questions that we would like answered by the Board of Education and Tom Sommer. 1, when were these cuts first discussed, and who was involved in that? We went through negotiations, and nothing was ever spoken of. 2, we know this imbalance of negative $491,231 is based off what we consider an incorrect 5-year forecast. What is the end balance using the CEA's actual contract instead of what was basically the OPSI contract that was submitted to ODE? When can we see a new 5-year forecast? It's my understanding that 5-year forecasts can be submitted monthly. I don't know if I'm wrong in knowing that. I think there are a lot of districts that do a 5-year forecast every month. 3.
Should we give them an opportunity to answer these questions? Or do you want to hear all the questions?
Well, I think I'm jotting them down here. I just want to hear them all first.
Okay. All right. 3, in the article, it states that 7 positions will be cut through attrition. The article states that this will save the board $466,800.
Say the number again, I'm sorry.
The article stated that this will save the board $466,800 and $475,000 in wages in 2021 and 2020 and 21 respectively. It would also save the board another $212,400 and $222,000 in benefits for those. This accounts for a total savings of $1,376,200. Clearly offsetting a possible negative deficit. which was the 491,000 originally stated, 491,231. So once the deficit is addressed, this would account for a profit of $884,969. Why are any cuts beyond the absorbed positions being discussed? The absorbed being the ones through attrition. 4, according to the Daily Standard, excuse me, the preschool currently managed by the Mercer County ESC will be run by Salina City Schools. If the article's numbers are to be trusted, this would account for an additional savings of $177,000 after staffing and other funds are distributed. If we combine both the savings from the positions through attrition, the preschool takeover, the district would save a little over $1 million, $1,061,000. And that's after addressing the deficit of $491,000. So why does the district need this much extra savings? It seems confusing to us. Doesn't make sense. And then 5, why are any other cuts or RIFs being discussed? These first two cost-saving measures, the attrition and the new 5-year, in our eyes, clearly do enough to address the deficit spending. Tom was quoted as saying the total amount the district expects to save if all cost-cutting methods are used, including the RIFs, is about $3 million, a little over $3 million, $3,166,000. So why are we asking our districts of our asking Iraq?
Why are we risking?
Thank you. Why are we risking? I'm a little nervous too. Why are we risking our district's academic success for millions of dollars in savings? The district, we've been working diligently to improve test scores, and graduation rates are always a challenge, and to continue to close our current achievement gap. We've been working really hard on that. So the proposed staffing and programming cuts hinder the district's ability to close this achievement gaps. And I know personally speaking from the high school, one of the biggest things we have going for us is our ability to have elective classes. You look around at other schools, people might want to open enroll there because of the sports team or whatever. We know the school can compete with our high school, just from personal experience, with the amount of electives that we have. The district may not be growing in population rate, but I think we'd all agree that it is growing in diversity. And obviously more resources are needed to help with that, with the increasing diversity that we have in our district. The staffing and programming cuts would only, I think, reverse these efforts. This reduction plan will raise concerns about what the district has to offer all of its students. Reduction means larger class size, we all know this, limited programs, which I just spoke about, fewer gifted and honors opportunities, less one-on-one time for students, especially those with special needs, most likely lower test scores. I think test scores and class sizes go hand in hand. I think you've all learned that. Before such drastic measures are implemented, are there any other cost-saving solutions that can be explored? Salina teachers and the community members deserve, I think, an explanation as to why this original forecast, this inaccurate financial forecast, is being used to implement a reduction plan. It will sacrifice teachers and the educational well-being of this district. So, a surplus that, as of now, has yet to be allocated towards educational expenses. So, we're just here to formally ask these 5 things and figure out why this is happening. We are bombarded with questions from our members, asking us what is going on. They're scared for their jobs. And I don't really have anything to tell them other than, well, let's take a look at the contract and see what it means. I'm sorry, you're only on the 1 year. Looks like you could be on the chopping block. So I personally would like an explanation so that I can explain to our members what is going on.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll just go over a couple of them real quick. We're still in discussions with this. First of all, nothing has been set in stone on cuts. We're still shooting out ideas and trying to find out ways to save every year it's worse and worse of deficit spending. We can't keep deficit spending. Would you go into your savings of your family money and keep spending it until you have nothing and then you're bankrupt. That's what we're trying to avoid. So we're looking at possible cuts that we can, that will at least affect our students and our staff and the community in all. None of us up here want to cut anybody. We want the best school, best community involvement we can get. But there's got to be a point where we make tough decisions and make these cuts that we have to make. Okay?
Real quick, just speaking of those cuts, when were they first discussed?
They've been discussed for years. Years.
So we feel
They were
that
discussed before I came on the board.
we've not heard much of these
Um,
cuts or discussion of
I
these
take
cuts.
I take a little offense in that, because that was discussed in negotiations. It was discussed at length. I think one of the comments that was made was, you guys always seem to find the money. That's what one of the members made in the negotiation. So, we don't like it, like I said, we don't want to do this. If we had a magic money pot to go to, we'd take it out. We don't.
I think we understand that. We understand if there's a problem with money, but what we don't understand is how the state was given a 5-year forecast that is inaccurate to what we actually took as our contract.
Sure, the 5-year forecast had to be turned in by, I believe, October 31st. Is that correct? And at that time, we had not completed negotiations.
Right.
We had to use the numbers we assumed would be most accurate, which assumed the OC numbers, or your guys' numbers also.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
a
since
little
that
bit.
hasn't been, since that's not what we took, why can we not resubmit a 5-year forecast? Because from our understanding, you can submit a 5-year forecast anytime.
I believe we're on what, two times per year?
It's required twice a year, but we can submit it on, we've been working on one.
We are, to answer another question, we are currently working on one with the new numbers. So you will see that. We have to review it yet, but we have not had that chance.
What's the plan for submitting that? What are we looking at, time-wise?
As soon as the board gives
Yeah,
me the
we'll
okay.
probably review it later today, and after that, we'll probably release it, depending on if we have any changes or not.
Do we have a draft to review today?
Yeah, we do have a draft,
Okay.
yeah. We sort of knew we were gonna ask for it, we wanted to see it too. So that's what we got, and it's still not pretty. So I think in a lot of the numbers you're looking at coming up with, you're not taking into consideration the increase in insurance costs and other costs that's supposed to occur in the following years. So,
But we didn't have the number of people taking the insurance that was on the original, so.
correct, yeah,
It was assuming that everyone
Yeah.
was taking it correct.
yes.
There were several assumptions
Yes.
on that first 5-year
And
forecast.
that will be in the new forecast. So, and like I said before, a lot of this is questioning whether we're making all the cuts we put out there. We don't know yet, we're working on that. So those are just options that we submitted so we could get,
What does your timeline look like as far as that's concerned?
oh, we want to get it done probably by the end of the school year, definitely.
And this will be after the new 5-year, after looking at all the numbers?
Correct.
Giving us an opportunity to check the numbers as well?
Sure.
Finding out how many teachers are going to be retiring.
Do we have those numbers yet? I don't think we do.
We have an approximation, we don't have an exact number.
Thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you.
We appreciate it. I hope we can work towards a solution and make our members happy. I know, I just think that, I just think we don't understand as to why this has to be such a drastic reduction.
One of the other questions was, why do we need so much in our savings? Are we not a non-for-profit organization? I mean, why do we need the over $3 million?
That $3 million is only gonna last us approximately 3 years. If that, we don't know what's gonna happen, we don't know if we'll run into trouble with buildings, deficit spending. If we can get to that point where we're not deficit spending, then this wouldn't be an issue. But it's been deficit spending, I don't know how many years now that we've been doing.
2 or 3.
Yeah. So. Okay,
All right,
any
thank
other
you.
questions? Okay, we'll get that information to you as soon as we can.
Thanks.
All right, is OPSI here, is Carol or anybody from OPSI want to hear talk? No? Okay, we have a presentation on student drug testing by, I'm going to butcher your name, is it Kyle Kruder? Great. Kruder, okay.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kyle Creeder. I'm the owner of Great Lakes Biomedical. We're a drug and alcohol testing company that's been around since 1997, and we do all sorts of drug testing. We do truck drivers, bus drivers, airline pilots, nuclear power plants, and we also do student drug testing. And I'm here to talk to you just a little bit tonight about student drug testing and kind of what a program would look like. I've been asked to come in and tell you a little bit about what we do. So, we currently are servicing just about 150 schools throughout Ohio with their drug testing program. And one of the first questions to always be answered with this type of program is, why are we doing this? You know, is it a gotcha program, and is it top-down, administration-driven, and we're going to get the kids and everything? And the answer is no. It's about prevention. It's about giving kids one more reason to say no to drugs. When's the program most effective? Saturday night when someone's saying, you know, hey, want to go smoke a joint? You know, and you can say, you know what, I get tested, I'm not going to take the chance, let's do something else. So, does the program work? That's a good question. If you would Google student drug testing, you'll find about 28 million responses, half of them saying, oh, it's great, it works, other half saying, oh, we haven't found anything that necessarily says it does. But I'm here to say that yes, it does work when it's combined with your other educational resources. You can't just do this alone and figure, you know, that's it, we're done. You have to do it with education, you have to do it with like, everything else that you're currently doing, and it does work. There's plenty of evidence that the program works. There's empirical data from like Huntington studies and Ball State studies and such. I'm not going to go into all of that, but what I can suggest though is on the back of the packets that we have in there, we have about almost all of our 150 schools, and kind of a moving target. Call up some of them, all of them, whatever you want, and just ask them, you know, does the program work? And I think you'll find that each and every one of them says that it does. So there's a few myths out there about student drug testing. Number one, well, there goes the football team. You know, if you're going to do drug testing, you're going to push all these kids away from doing activities. And why do you want to do that? Why do you want to kick them off the team? Why do you want to kick them out of school? It doesn't happen. And again, don't believe me. Call the schools that we currently service. This program, again, it's different than what most schools are currently doing. Most schools have what we would call like a zero tolerance policy on drug use. And you know what? I'm a parent. I got 5 kids. I agree. Zero tolerance. You're darn right. You're not going to do drugs. But it's more of a, you know, gotcha and you're out type thing. This program is not. This program, again, is made for prevention. But if you do make a mistake and get caught doing drugs, then you have options. And it's made to help the kids, not hurt them. The options are simply like if you do get on a random test and you get a positive, you get 2 paths you can go down. Path A, please take that one. You got to get assessed by a professional counselor. Are you just making some bad decisions? Or are you seriously having problems? Number 2, guess what? The next few random tests, not so random for you. You can then tell the people that might be handing you drugs, whatever, that, you know what? Not that I may get tested, I am going to get tested. And then there is a dinging of some activities, kind of like a 3 strikes you're out type things, like 2 football games, some part of the park you have, something like that. But again, it is not kicking you out. What we're saying is please do these steps and then stay with us. You're part of the team, you're part of the family. We don't want you to leave, you know, do what you need to do to get through this, and then you're back playing again. So as you can see, again, it's basically non-punitive, and it's made to help the kids. A couple other myths that are out there. Well, student drug testing, that's expensive. Who has hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this type of program? And, you know, I gladly take that, but it doesn't cost that at all. You can get a great program for about $17 a test. So it's very inexpensive compared to what we would charge for like truck drivers and bus drivers and things of that nature. And another thing that you often hear about is, well, the majority of the community and the majority of the students are against this type of program. Every community is different, but surveys that I have seen, not that we have actually done, but other schools have done and shared with us, show that typically about 75 to 80% of parents are for the program, and about 50% of the students are for the program. And that really surprised me, because I really figured, you know, again, I got 5 kids, I really figured, you know what, it'd be like 99% would be against and only 1% would be for it. But again, I've heard so many kids say during some meetings that we would have, I am feeling like I'm almost being punished for doing the right thing. I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know that these group of students over here, and maybe in the back of their mind they're saying they have my spot on the team, and et cetera, but I know that they're doing drugs and such, and it's almost like they're getting rewarded for it, and I'm tired of it. You know, that peer pressure is just, it's intense, and nowadays it's even different than, you know, back in my day. It's not just pot and a little bit of something else, you know, heroin, fentanyl, et cetera, things that, you know, you can try once and die from. So it's definitely different. So, how does this whole thing work? You know, I'm going to give you just a real brief rundown, not take a lot of your time, on like how the program works in general. First, we do almost all the work for you. We will have the random list. We will get a list of whoever is going to be tested. It's normally the athletes, extracurriculars, if you have parking passes and such, but it's, you know, whoever you decide to put on that list. We keep that list. We will go with our designated person. I'm very specific with that because we only talk to like 1 or 2 people in the school who are designated to us. And we will say, you know what, Wednesday at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a drug test and we're going to do, let's say, 20 kids. We will send the information, usually via email, to our designated person. We'll show up here Wednesday, 10 o'clock. If my name is Johnny Smith, I'm one of the students. The way it works for me is that I'm called down. I go up to the drug testing technician, say, my name is Johnny Smith. I'm given a cup, and it says, Johnny Smith, you're number 13. Go into the restroom, provide a specimen, come back out, sign back out, Johnny Smith, number 13, and go back to class. Pretty much as simple as that as far as the students go. No big going to hospitals, no long lines, no being out of class for 4 or 5 hours. You know, as long as they can go, you know, it's about a 5-minute process. What we typically do then is we will do the screening on site. It's kind of like a pregnancy test, yes, no test. If you send something to a laboratory, the first thing that happens is they screen it. That's how they make their money. Hopefully only 1 or 2 will be non-negative and have to go to the gas spectrometer, and the rest they throw away. We take those same screens, bring it out to the field, and we screen it right on site. If they're all negative, we go to our designated person, whoever that is, and say, everyone's good, and see you next time. That's what we're hoping for. But sometimes there's what we call a non-negative. A non-negative means just simply that it didn't pass the first screen. At that point, we'll do the full chain of custody, just like a truck driver, bus driver, send it to the laboratory, verify what that drug is. Well, let's take amphetamines, for example. Lab will certify that, yep, that's amphetamines. Send that over to our medical review officer, who's a physician that specializes in drug testing, and he'll go, yep, that's amphetamines. They'll call mom and dad and say, hey, Johnny had a test on Wednesday. Is there any medications he might be on? Mom might say, yeah, he's on some ADHD medication. Great, could you send that over? The medical review officer at that point will get the medication, and the test will come back as negative. Okay, took a few days for this to happen. What happens to Johnny during that period of time? Absolutely nothing. Doesn't even know what's going on until maybe mom says, hey, did you take a drug test the other day? Because the doctor called. Same scenario, but let's say that it's, you know, cocaine or something like that. Same process, except the result would come back as it's a positive. So as you see, there's a lot of checks and balances with this program. It's all designed to protect the student. It's not designed to, you know, do a gotcha type of thing. That's pretty much how it works. And what about the kids that aren't in any type of program? You know, how can they take advantage of that too? Well, we have an opt-in program. It's just simply that mom and dad and the student can say, you know what, I want to be part of this, I want to be part of the program. You can simply opt in. What happens if someone that opt in gets a positive test? You tell mom and dad about it. And that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much all I have for the program. Are there any questions?
I've got one.
Yeah.
Besides alcohol, what's the greatest hit? Is it marijuana or?
Yeah, marijuana is the biggest one that we have. Nicotine is, actually this year they're about half and half. Because we can talk about juuling, of course. I'm sure everyone's heard about juuling. We can test for that. Juuling is typically nicotine. And our panels, we don't just have like one drug test. We have, it's kind of a cafeteria type thing where you can test. It'd be great to test everybody for everything, but you can't afford it. So we have these various things. You can say, like, hey, this time we'd like to test like a 5-panel, make sure Oxycontin is in there, and we'd like to have nicotine in there also. Because nicotine, you know, we're just getting more and more positives for nicotine. Which, by the way, little public service announcement with that. I've seen positives, you know, in the last few years for nicotine. Anything above 200 nanograms per milliliter is a positive. And we have like 500 or 600 nanograms, sometimes 800. Now we're getting consistently greater than 1,000. Basically, it's off the chart. Why? Because kids are thinking, well, it's not smoking, it's not bad for you. Wrong. And they can do it right in front of you, because if you ever wanted to Google, you know, how to get away with juuling, there's all sorts of, you know, things. They're so small, you know, just, you know, and they can do it right in front of you. With that amount of nicotine in your system, and these same kids are probably pounding out a couple energy drinks also during the day. The CDC is seeing more and more health problems with this. Hearts, et cetera, because you can't take that much stimulant on a daily basis and have it be good for you. So alcohol is a good thing too, because I like to tell people about it. We have an alcohol test. They can use it, they cannot use it. It's up to the school, but it's called ETG alcohol. Some people might think, go ahead, have your drug testing program, but if I pound down a 6-pack on Saturday night and hit me with a breathalyzer on Monday, it's not going to show. And they're right. But ETG alcohol will go back 80 hours. So, yes, we can see that. We seem to get an awful lot of it during certain times of the year, too, requests for doing that. Will you do it every time? It's up to the school. It's all up to how they want to do it in their budget.
Can you discover a diabetic that didn't know it?
No. The reason why is we don't test for those parameters. You know. Though we have found some other kind of things, mostly drug related and such, but levels of drugs that kids were taking, that like prescription drugs that wasn't correct, et cetera, et cetera. So there has been some things like that. But other drugs besides what we're testing for, we don't know about, we don't want to know about. Don't want to know about anti-anxiety medication that's not being tested for. Don't want to know about birth control. Don't want to know about any of that type of thing. It's not our business, really. It's not the school's business or anybody else's. So we test for just what we test for.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anybody on there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we have one person on the. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. We will move on to here. Don't have anything else on that. We'll do approval of the consensus agenda. We did have a couple items, one change and one removal. Motion to move. Okay.
Second.
Matt and Deb. I heard you first. Okay, so take this one. Doesn't matter. I didn't hear you say it. There will be a second. All right. Tom, you want to go ahead and do the treasurer's report?
Okay, I'm asking you to approve the minutes of the January 14th, 2019 organizational meeting and the regular meeting. Approve the January financial summary report showing $2.55 million in revenues and $5.26 million in expenditures. Approve the investment control report as of January 31st, 2019 with an ending balance of $18.7 million. Asking you to approve the January 2019 SM2 report. Approve the January 2019 checks written for $4,946,231.21. I'm asking you to approve some supplemental appropriations, generally grant funds, scholarship, and adult education. Accept a donation, $10,000 from the athletic boosters to the athletic department to assist with expenses.
What's the purpose of
I
that?
believe they have that earmarked for a van.
This is, I thought it was earmarked for something. Very good, thank you.
And then lastly, increase the student summer help wages from $8.30 per hour to $8.55 per hour.
Okay, any questions for Tom? All right, we'll move on to the assistant superintendent's report. Ken?
Thank you. We've got 3 substitutes to approve. Regan Brandon, Melinda Hunter, and Carrie Houston. Carrie's is effective March 1st. We're asking you to accept the resignation of Mona Sams. And we have several folks who have completed their probationary contracts. Kate Spring, educational aide, Joelle Curiel, bus aide, Mike Eulenhank, custodian, and a 60-day probationary contract for Nick Fleck, bus aide. A change of contract for Rita Bigelow, so that she'll stay under 40 hours per week. And then we have deduct days for Dawn Gagel, Lisa Burgoon, Mary Braun. Annette Brem is listed twice. She has 2 different positions, that's why that's listed twice. And Rebecca Blanchard. Joelle Curiel, who we're just asking you to hire, also requests deduct days. She's had the vacation plan prior to her being hired.
Any questions on any of those items?
I've got one. For the, Annette Brown, she asked for a deduct day. I think she was driving the school bus for the swim team, is that correct?
Yes, that does sound correct.
So, okay, it's already been done. I didn't even see the date. But I guess what I was going to ask you is why did she have to take a deduct day for that?
Because that job was taking her away from a regular job, so we can't pay her twice.
But as a cafeteria worker, it took her away from that position?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Oh, is that going to sectional or districts? Okay.
Yes. Tournament.
Gotcha. All right, any further questions? Proceed.
Under resolutions, we're asking approval to advertise bids for fertilizer and weed control for 3 school years. Then we've got a couple of school district bus uses. 4-H members to Columbus, March 8th for $550 charge. And then charge the Chamber of Commerce $650 per trip for the monthly trips that they will take with their leadership courses.
Any questions on those resolutions? Can anyone proceed with the superintendent's report?
Yes, we will. We have a change of contracts. Annie Holman is requesting a deduct day. And we've got administrative contracts up for approval. Phil Metz, Michelle Duncan, Keith Gudorf, Corey Arns, Brian Stetler, Deb Schroyer. Those are all 3-year contracts. Tom Summer and Connie Rose, each for a 1-year contract. And we're approving Asking you to approve Alexis Zacharias as a volunteer for softball this school year.
Any questions on those items? If not, move on to the resolutions.
We're asking you to approve a district cell phone reimbursement for Shula David. Approve a moratorium for all Salina City School-sponsored extracurriculars from Saturday, June 29th through Sunday, July 7th. Also approve an overnight trip of Salina FBLA to Columbus, March 14th and 15th for state competition. Under TriStar, we have an articulation agreement with the University of Northwestern Ohio, and that's for automotive and ag mechanics. Under Head Start, they have the Head Start monthly report, and also a COLA, cost of living adjustment of 1.77%. So that will be effective December 1st, 2018.
And that was a grant, correct, from?
That COLA comes out of the federal
Grant, yes, okay. Any questions on those items, the board? Do we have a removal of any items? If not, I'll ask for approval of the consensus together. Motion? Do you have any questions?
No, I got a motion.
Okay. All right.
You will.
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mr. Zell.
Yes.
Mrs. Gingrich.
Aye.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Huber.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Informational item, we do have Franklin B. Walter Awards Banquet scheduled for March 27th, 2019. Is that you and your spouse are planning to attend? You can let us know.
Is that normally at 6?
6 or 6:30, I believe, in the evening? Yes.
And it's where?
Usually at Romer's, but it's possible that could be changed, yes. Just to save the date there for you.
Okay. All right, looks like we're going to be going into executive session now. Do I have, and we're going to go in for items G1, number 2, employment, number 4, discipline, and G3 for conference with attorney and public body concerning disputes involving the public body and subject to pending or imminent court action.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion, and just have a second. Barb, seconded. All right.
One in the discipline zone.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session. If we have anything, we'll come back out. Okay. When do you take?
Mr. Zell.
Yes.